Trump limits citizenship. Iran Hormuz deal near. Fauci held in contempt. And Thailand school shooting. Greetings, humanity. Let's grok the news. We cover the world's headlines, but first, a deep dive into the most important story in the world today. Dateline, Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump signed 2 executive orders yesterday afternoon in the Oval Office, taking a narrower but still ambitious swing at limiting birthright citizenship after the Supreme Court blocked his broader effort just 5 weeks earlier. The first order, titled Continuing to Protect the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship, instructs federal agencies not to issue or accept documents recognizing U.S. citizenship for certain children born on American soil when neither parent is a citizen. The second order, ending birth tourism, directs the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security to deny visas, revoke travel authorizations, bar entry, and remove foreign nationals who travel to the United States primarily to give birth. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller stood beside the president during the signing and declared that the practice of birth tourism is hereby banned. Trump told reporters the Supreme Court decision in Trump versus Barbara on June 30th was very unfortunate and close, but that the administration is making adjustments. In that ruling, Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, held that the 14th Amendment's citizenship clause covers children of parents present in the country unlawfully or only temporarily. The new orders attempt to operate within the historical exceptions that the court left standing in its controversial ruling, a ruling that in this observer's opinion stands on its head. Absolute nonsense. No other nation on earth does this. Nor should they. Under the first order, agencies are told to withhold citizenship recognition when a parent is an alien enemy, defined to include members of designated foreign terrorist organizations or specially designated global terrorists when a parent is a foreign government employee, including certain embassy and consular staff or employees of international organizations with immunity, when the parent is engaged in a commercial transaction to ensure the mother is present in the United States or a territory solely to give birth, or used a surrogate for the same purpose, and in limited fashion, denying citizenship for births in certain U.S. territories if Congress later changes the governing statutes. The order applies only to future births and does not affect children who have at least one citizen parent. The birth tourism order delegates presidential authority under the Immigration and Nationality Act and instructs the House, the State, and Homeland Security departments to treat entry for the purpose of obtaining citizenship for a child as a fraudulent circumvention of temporary admission rules. Officials say the measures will enable more forceful crackdowns. Trump has long argued that the United States is nearly alone among major nations in granting automatic citizenship by birth on soil, and that the practice is being exploited. Estimates of the scale of birth tourism vary widely. The administration has cited figures in the hundreds of thousands, while researchers at the Migration Policy Institute, this observer wonders how long they've been around. These researchers point to a census-based number, which is closer to 22,000 to 26,000 such births a year. Civil rights groups and some legal scholars immediately signaled they will challenge the orders in court as an attempt to rewrite the 14th Amendment by executive decree. This is the same argument that prevailed in June. The White House maintains the new directives stay inside the narrow carve-outs that the Supreme Court acknowledged for diplomats, invading forces, and certain other historically excluded categories, and that commercial fraud in obtaining presents for birth falls outside any constitutional guarantee. Trump said the privilege of citizenship is a priceless gift that must be protected from malign foreign actors seeking to swindle the American people. This observer can point to examples of that in the federal and city governments across the nation. Miller emphasized that birthright citizenship under a broken system gives access to welfare benefits and, ultimately, the voting booth. This observer would add, and ultimately, political office. The orders were signed after Trump had first called on Congress to act following the June setback and then chose the executive route when legislative prospects remained uncertain. Implementation will now rest with the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security, which must issue new rules and guidance on visa screening, entry decisions, and documentation. The move keeps the long-running debate over the meaning of the citizenship clause at the center of the administration's immigration agenda heading into the midterm elections. Legal tests are expected to begin almost immediately in the federal courts. I'm Robert Gardner, and I use Grok each weekday to truthfully summarize the news. You get my opinion as well, but I try to make that clear. We review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world right after this. God with Us, the story of Jesus, blends the Gospels into one inspired narrative. This is divided into daily Bible studies, and this book presents the story of Jesus from his birth to his ascension, all in order, skipping nothing. Find God with Us by me, yours truly, Robert Gardner, at Amazon.com. Now, we grok the news with headlines from around the world. Dateline Tehran. Iran says it is in the final stages of a deal with Oman on limited shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz that would send inbound traffic through Iranian waters and outbound traffic near Oman. Officials stress the arrangement does not fully reopen the waterway and still requires the United States to lift the naval blockade and the sanctions on Iran. This observer would tell them to go pound sand and then start pounding them into the sand. They're fortunate that President Trump is as patient as he is. Dateline Washington. The Senate Homeland Security Committee voted along party lines yesterday to hold former infectious disease official Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment 111 times at a recent hearing rather than answer any questions, even though he is protected by Biden's presidential pardon, whether that was signed by an auto pen or not. Chairman Rand Paul is sending this referral straight to the Justice Department. The last two individuals held in contempt of Congress under the Biden administration were sent to jail, which in my opinion should be Fauci's first stop. He should never see the light of day again, like so many of the millions upon millions of people who died because of his decisions and his lies, and those who worked with him knowingly. Dateline Bangkok. A 14-year-old student in Nonthaburi province near Bangkok fatally shot his grandparents, then opened fire at Debsirin Nonthaburi School, killing at least 3 teachers and 3 students before turning the gun on himself. 15 others were wounded in one of Thailand's deadliest recent school attacks. Dateline Kampala. Uganda's parliament has approved deploying troops to an international peacekeeping force in Gaza under a plan advanced by President Trump's Board of Peace. Morocco has also pledged personnel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continues to demand full Hamas disarmament before proceeding. Dateline Kinshasa. The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has exceeded 4,000 cases and is spreading faster than responders can track, with more than 1,800 deaths so far. Thousands more infected. Health officials in the hardest-hit province walked off the job because of... We're going to do this again. Dateline Kinshasa. The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has exceeded 4,000 cases and is spreading faster than responders can track, with more than 1,800 deaths so far and thousands infected. Health workers in the hardest-hit province walked off the job They haven't been paid, despite major international funding. Meanwhile, the government there in the Democratic Republic of Congo is limiting coal and iron exports until they can get a bigger cut on export earnings. They're not worried at all about the lethal outbreak or paying the workers on the front lines dealing with it. This is why the Democratic Republic of Congo has not advanced or improved life for its citizens. Utterly corrupt, utterly incompetent, terrible terrain, constant tribal warfare, and an incredible reluctance among the people to accept modern medicine, preferring the old ways and death. Dateline Spokane. 3 major wildfires near Spokane, Washington, have destroyed more than 850 structures and forced tens of thousands to evacuate. Authorities charged a man who admitted planning one blaze and claimed responsibility for about 25 fires since last year. Dateline Jeddah. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan are preparing to sign a trilateral defense agreement in Jeddah. Regional sources say the pact reflects shifting security alignments driven by the ongoing conflict involving Iran and marks a significant new partnership in the Middle East. Dateline Jerusalem. Israeli authorities have filed the first indictment of a settler for killing a Palestinian activist in the West Bank since the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack. Rights groups called the case a rare step in the occupied territory. When was the last time you heard of Hamas or Hezbollah or the Houthis or Iran doing anything of the kind? Dateline New Delhi. India and China held diplomatic talks in New Delhi on the line of actual control between the nations and agreed to keep using existing military and diplomatic channels to manage the border. China also sought details on Chinese upstream river projects. That would be good to know if you were downriver. Dateline Tokyo. North Korea fired at least one ballistic missile that landed off the eastern coast of the Korean peninsula. Japan's defense ministry reported no damage to Japanese vessels or airspace from the provocative launch. Dateline Taipei. Taiwan has launched its annual Hangguang military exercises while stepping up efforts to prevent Chinese recruitment of technology talent and engineers from the island's strategic industries. Dateline Buenos Aires. Thousands of protesters clashed with police near Congress Square in Argentina over new private property legislation. Security forces used tear gas, rubber bullets, and water cannons after demonstrators threw stones and other projectiles. Dateline Caracas. Talks have opened in Venezuela between the government and opposition elements on a possible political transition and elections under United States auspices. This is months after the capture of Nicolas Maduro. Key opposition figure Maria Corina Machado is not taking part. You will remember her, the brave opposition leader during the Maduro days who gave President Trump her Nobel Peace Prize. Dateline Rome. Extreme heat across Europe has forced power plant shutdowns in 6 European Union countries because of low river levels and high water temperatures. Major Italian cities went on red alert as readings exceeded 40 degrees Celsius. That's 104 degrees in Fahrenheit, which the United States uses. Down here in some regions of this country, we encounter temperatures like that not quite every summer, but often enough. It's why we have air conditioning. Highly recommend it. Dateline Berlin. German police discovered and defused an explosives-laden drone at an airport used by a Ukrainian carrier. A separate incident involving a cargo aircraft was also reported at the same facility. Dateline Albuquerque. A New Mexico judge ordered Meta to pay $567 million into a teen mental health fund and to overhaul youth safety features on its platforms in a landmark ruling over harm to young users. This observer remains undecided on these kinds of measures. Of course, we need to protect young minds from the harm that social media is proven to do to mental health, especially in the young. But at the same time, such rulings, such laws are often used more to control free speech than for actual protection. We've got to be careful. Dateline, Washington. A major air traffic control facility outage knocked out radar and radio across roughly 330,000 square miles covering 9 U.S. states, grounding hundreds of flights and causing widespread disruption. Dateline, Manila. Continuous monsoon rains, enhanced by tropical cyclones, triggered landslides and rock slides in the Philippines, killing at least 4 people in Benguet and Rizal provinces, affecting tens of thousands, displacing thousands more. Please be in prayer for that situation and others like it. We'll see more as the typhoon and hurricane seasons proceed. And I thank you for listening. Please join me Monday to once again Grok the News. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.